They never listened, darling. Chapter 1. Why did it actually turn out this way? I'm giving my absolute best every goddamn day, even though it isn't always easy. I didn't destroy anything and I didn't steal anything. Why is the butler simply accusing me? I don't think that's fair. After all, he was the one who let the jug shatter and lost the queen's sapphire earrings. He always pins everything on me, and nobody here in this goddamn castle cares. Why? It's quite simple. I am merely a humble maid. I am permitted to help dress the queen, do the laundry, and run errands. As a maid, I already hold the lowest rank among the household staff anyway. The butler certainly doesn't need to make my life any harder than it already is. 3 days later, the butler once again pinned a misdeed on me. This time, however, no one told me what had happened. I was simply asked to go to the West Wing. In the stuffy room, which it seemed no one had dusted in ages, I waited for the large, bulky wooden door to open. The head maid entered the room 15 minutes after my arrival. Her gaze was dark and icy, as if I had burned down the castle courtyard. May I ask what misconduct I am accused of? Your misconduct defies description. You have torn one of the queen's gowns, stolen jewelry, and secretly eaten from the queen's plate. For this reason, I suppose I must teach you how one is expected to behave at court. I must be missing something. How am I supposed to understand this? Everything she accuses me of, none of it was my doing. And what does she mean by wanting to teach me how to behave at court? Am I to receive lessons in etiquette? That would be rather unusual for a simple maid. A faint ache spread through my stomach, as if my body had already sensed what might happen before my thoughts could catch up. Hold out one of your hands and close your eyes. If you open them even a little bit, there will be consequences. And as you can probably imagine, you wouldn't want to know what consequences I'm talking about here, would you? Oh no, I don't think I'll be getting etiquette lessons after all. And trying to explain to her that the accusations are untrue would be pointless. She isn't exactly known for listening to others. She is known rather for bad-mouthing people behind their backs and ruling with an iron fist. She isn't a queen, yet she certainly acts like one. I did as I was instructed, extended my left hand and closed my eyes, while my body began to tremble slightly. Beads of sweat trickled down my temples. My hand ached even before anything happened. The fear of not knowing what she intended to do with me was so intense that I considered opening my eyes for a split second. However, I decided against it, fearing I might make things even worse. Then it happened. A burning pain spread across my palm, again and again. The sound of the object repeatedly striking my palm seared itself into my ears and my memories like a branding iron. I wanted to cry and open my eyes, but I simply didn't dare. After what felt like 10 minutes, the headmaid stopped. She let out a malicious laugh and instructed me to open my eyes again. My legs gave away, and I sank to the floor. She glared at me with a look of utter contempt that defied description. I hope you understand now what I mean and will conduct yourself accordingly in the future. She turned away from me and pulled the heavy door shut behind her. The loud slam signaled to me that I was now alone in this room. Alone with my thoughts and the excruciating pain. It took me a moment to grasp what had happened. The cold sweat subsided, and I was able to move my left hand slightly again while it was shaking relentlessly. Once the head maid had left the room, I saw the object she had used to strike my hand. It was a steel rod, the kind squires often used when no practice swords were available. She hadn't taken it with her, but had simply placed it on the small table standing against the wall. Its silvery shimmer combined with the moonlight streaming through the window distracted me a little. Fortunately, I had been smart enough not to extend my right hand. I'm right-handed, so I was able to protect my most important hand. It was only then that I finally allowed myself to feel those emotions and let them take over. Tears streamed down, and my hand, which looked like a tomato, served to catch them. Every tear felt like, literally, salt in the wound. After a while, I managed to compose myself. I quickly made my way back to my position to avoid being beaten once again. Incidentally, this wasn't the first physical chastisement I had been forced to endure. It wasn't only the head maid who took her frustrations out on the servants whenever she deemed there to be sufficient cause. Naturally, there are also instructions issued by the queen that must be obeyed. When the queen herself commands that we be chastised, the punishments are often far more severe. Most recently, a maid lost her life. She had been caught attempting to steal the queen's crown. For this, she lost both of her hands. She also lost her tongue, as she had dared to deny the accusations leveled against her. Since she received no medical attention, she died shortly thereafter. That is why I could count myself lucky regarding the punishment that awaited me today. One might ask oneself then what the point of it all is. The answer is quite simple. You either become a farmer, a seller of goods, sell your body, or become a servant in the castle. Nothing works without money. At just 19 years old, I have already witnessed enough suffering to last me a lifetime. Wars being waged, people dying, and boundless greed. These are the forces that rule the world. And worst of all, on top of everything else, it is us women who bear the brunt of it. If you contradict your husband, there are consequences, just as there are at work. I am not married, so I haven't had that particular experience yet. Fortunately, I must add. How often have things been denied to me simply because I am a woman? How often have my achievements been belittled or my voice silenced? And how often have I been forced to listen to sentences such as these? One of the well-known causes for the downfall of entire kingdoms is the wicked female. These witch-like creatures bewitch men and incite war. Of course, every man desires to possess a woman whose beauty rivals the sun and whose voice is worth its weight in gold. I bit my lip in annoyance and headed toward the kitchen, where the next problem was waiting for me. Again.